Every generation gets told that the machines are coming for their jobs, and every generation laughs it off. But this time, the machines showed up with a resume, a portfolio, and better manners than your coworkers. Stay with me, because this story ends somewhere very different than most people expect. Hello, my name is Gene, and I'm building a club to help people navigate our AI cultural revolution. It is Guildrim. We will master the new AI tools, support people displaced by the machine, and ensure that the coming AI future is the best that it can be. Our topic today is how AI will take your job, and why pretending otherwise is the fastest way to lose more than a paycheck. Let's begin. The old career promise worked like a vending machine. Insert education, press the correct buttons, and out drops a stable life. This arrangement survived for decades because the machines stayed dumb and the humans stayed scarce. You could learn Excel, Photoshop, or basic coding and ride that knowledge for a long time, like owning a good umbrella in a mild climate. Yet AI ended that arrangement quietly, without factory sirens and without pink slips raining from the ceiling. The work simply stopped needing you. A report that once took a week now takes 30 seconds. A junior employee who once earned a living stitching together slides now competes with software that never forgets a citation and never shows up late. This feels shocking because the jobs disappearing wear nice clothes. They live in offices with kombucha taps and motivational posters. People assumed physical labor would go first, but instead AI went straight for the keyboard class and did not bother knocking. The discomfort comes from recognition. Many modern jobs consist of translating vague instructions into tidy language and passing it along. AI performs this task with the enthusiasm of a golden retriever that has discovered how to fetch. The realization lands slowly. You are not being replaced by something that is smarter than you. You are being replaced by something that is faster at the part of your job that you quietly suspected was hollow. Management enthusiasm arrived right on schedule, not because executives suddenly became cruel, but because numbers began whispering sweet nothings. AI does not take sick days. It does not develop a podcast personality halfway through the quarter. It produces work that looks acceptable to ship and does it with the patience of a stone idol. The first roles to wobble were already made of abstraction. Marketing copy that exists to sound busy. Market research decks that confirm what everyone already plans to do. Legal and financial work at the junior level, where the job is reading piles of text and arranging them into something that feels official. These positions were built on pattern recognition, and the machine treats patterns the way that a vacuum treats dust. There is a dark joke hiding here. For years, office workers told tradesmen to learn to code. But now, the code has learned to replace the people who typed it. The electrician still has clients. The analyst is refreshing a job board with the intensity of a man watching storm clouds form over his picnic. A popular comfort story insists that only bad workers are replaced, but reality is far messier. The best workers hang on because they know where the traps are buried. The worst hang on because they cost little and draw no attention. The broad and competent middle is where automation finds open water and accelerates. This is why the losses feel personal. The machine is not targeting failure, it is targeting adequacy. It eats the dependable, repeatable, polite work that once formed the backbone of office life, leaving behind a thinner and stronger economy that no longer pretends everybody fits. Another spurious reassurance makes the rounds whenever the layoffs begin to trend. AI creates new jobs. This is true in the same way that earthquakes create new careers in structural engineering. The opportunities exist, though they are fewer, sharper, and clustered near the people already standing closest to the fault line. What unsettles people most, though, is the pace. Previous shifts arrived like seasons, but this one behaves like weather pushed through a fast forward button. A skill refined over 10 years can be absorbed in a training cycle shorter than a long weekend. You go to bed competent and wake up adjacent to obsolete, which is an uncomfortable place to store a mortgage. Watching this unfold feels less like history and more like a live theater with a nervous audience. Everyone knows the set is flimsy, but the actors keep delivering their lines. The machine keeps improving quietly, without asking permission or waiting for consensus. However, there is an unexpected clarity in this chaos. AI exposes which kinds of work were never anchored in human judgment. If a model can do your job after digesting the open internet, then your role was closer to summarizing than deciding. That realization hurts for about a week and then becomes oddly freeing, because now at least the mystery is gone. And once the illusion of permanence cracks, better questions begin to appear. Not about job titles or resumes, but about where value actually originates, about which kinds of effort still feel solid when the machine handles the paperwork, the formatting, and the polite filler that once passed for productivity. The ground feels unstable, but it is also visible, and that alone changes how people stand. No matter how clever the machine becomes, taste still matters, judgment still matters, curation still matters. And trust matters even more when everything else can be generated on demand. AI can produce 10,000 options without blinking, but it cannot stand behind one when it goes wrong. It cannot blush, it cannot be blamed, and it cannot earn forgiveness. Physical presence also retains its footing. Teaching a room full of distracted people, leading a team through a bad quarter without anyone bolting for the exits, hosting a place where people return because they feel known there. These are not mystical talents. They are specific acts that require attention, memory, and a reputation that survives outside of a browser tab. The machine struggles with coordination. It can assist groups, schedule meetings, and draft plans, but it cannot bind people together. Large projects fail less often because of bad ideas than because egos collide and trust evaporates. The glue that holds effort together remains stubbornly human. And that is the fork in the road, where the future quietly splits. On one side are operators who command systems and scale their reach through machines. And on the other are people embedded in real communities, doing work that depends on presence and continuity. The old office middle, built to shuffle documents and attend meetings about meetings, has thinned out. And what remains is smaller, more demanding, and also more honest. Work stops pretending to be neutral. It reveals who is needed and why, which is uncomfortable, but far less confusing than the polite fog that came before. However, it may be the case that the real risk is not unemployment, but rather a surplus of time with no agreed way to use it. Many modern jobs already function as social storage units, places where people could spend 8 hours so that no one would notice how detached they felt from one another. But when these roles vanish, the emptiness stops being subtle. A society that replaces work without replacing purpose grows brittle. People drift, then fidget, then turn sharp, and then turn to drugs. Boredom does not stay quiet for long. It ferments. And the machine does not create this problem, but it removes the scaffolding that hid it. This is why shared structures begin to matter again. Clubs, guilds, projects, and places with rules and expectation, not as a kind of retro fashion or a LARP, but as practical shelter. When credentials lose their shine, reputation becomes currency, and when careers fracture, belonging steadies the nervous system. These structures do something important. They give people a reason to be needed by someone who can look them in the eye. They restore friction, which sounds unpleasant until you realize that friction is the price of motion. AI cannot supply this. It can assist, recommend, and simulate, but it cannot care whether you show up. It cannot remember that you came from last week. It cannot feel disappointed in you, which turns out to be one of the quieter engines of civilization. AI will take jobs quickly and without apology, but what it cannot take is the meaning that people build together unless they surrender it out of habit. The danger is not the machine. The danger is allowing the vacuum that it creates to remain empty. The people who will fare the best in the transition into the age of AI will not treat the machine as an oracle or as an enemy, but instead they will treat it like a power tool, useful, dangerous, and best handled by someone who knows where the fingers are supposed to go. Mastery matters, but posture matters more. Standing somewhere that the machine cannot stand becomes the quiet strategy. Among people, inside rooms that develop a memory of who contributes and who disappears, within projects that require care over time rather than output on demand. They are working positions. This moment forces a choice that many would rather postpone. You can argue with the calendar and insist that the old arrangement return, or you can accept that the ground has shifted and build accordingly. One path leads to constant grievance. The other leads to responsibility, which is heavier but far less disorienting. AI moves fast and without embarrassment. Humans move oddly, sometimes slowly, sometimes in sudden alignment. And when they do, something interesting happens. Effort accumulates, trust compounds, the machine assists, but it does not lead. And so AI does not end work, but it ends the polite fiction that all work was equal. What remains demands more judgment, more presence, and more willingness to be known by others. And that is not comfortable, but it is real. And so the future will belong to those who can combine tools with community, leverage with loyalty, and speed with steadiness. The rest will spend their time arguing with a machine that has already moved on, wondering when the old rules are coming back. And if this helped you think more clearly about what is coming in the age of AI, then like the video, leave a comment below, and subscribe to the channel, where we help creatives build community in the age of AI. And until next time, remember, a grand world awaits. With Guildrim, this has been Gene Botkin.